First of all, this is true and not just a random story. I'm genuinely scared and I don't know what to do. I'm going to try and make this short because I just want to get it out there since I'm too scared to go back to my house tonight. So I'm currently renting a place on Airbnb tonight. So, a little backstory. I moved into this new house, and right across the street from my house is an abandoned manor. It's cliché, I know, but that's honestly what drew me to getting that house since I've always been so intrigued by abandoned places, especially ones with eerie stories. For example, this manor was passed down from within the family for years, until the last remaining family members who lived there mysteriously all disappeared at the same time in the 1900s. And it's just been abandoned ever since then. I thought that was pretty neat at first. Things were fine, and I was really enjoying my new place. And then after a while, I was really curious about the abandoned manor. Something just made me feel like checking it out. So I managed to get inside, and within a second, the vibe just felt wrong. Can't put my finger on it, but something was off. I felt like I was being watched, so I ran back across the street to my house while my heart was racing for no reason. I've never really believed in supernatural stuff, so that was strange for me. But I think that's when things started taking a turn for me. Whenever I would walk home late at night, I would feel like someone was still watching me from the manor across the street. Maybe I'm paranoid now. Soon after that, I would always hear sounds within my house late at night while I'm in my bedroom, specifically in the kitchen and living room. But I never really thought too much about it since I'd always hear these sounds right when I was on the brink of sleep. You know when you're about to fall asleep at any second and you hear stuff in the background, but it almost feels like it's a part of your dream? Well, it was always like that, so I could never say for sure if I actually heard something or if it was in my dream. But why would I dream of dishes being moved or someone walking around my home? So now, fast forward to last night. I was sleeping in the living room since my bedroom can get quite hot during the summer. So I got my blankets and slept on the floor, which is something I've always loved to do even as a kid. So I got everything ready and turned off the TV and all the lights in the house. When I finally turned off the light in the living room, I got a very unsettling feeling. What was my solution? To quickly hide under my blankets and watch funny videos until the feeling went away. Yes, I'm aware that it's pathetic. I instantly felt safe under the blankets, so I put my headphones in my ears, but I didn't plug it into my phone yet because I usually do that once I find something to watch. So I completely forgot to plug them in because I started scrolling through Instagram looking at funny memes, until I heard the voice in the corner of the living room, and I froze. I honestly couldn't move or do anything. I was too scared to make any movements. I heard something say, "There's one thing you don't seem to understand." And then another voice overlapping it saying the same sentence, but I couldn't catch the other words because the voices were overlapping each other. It would start with 1, then 2, and 3, and so on until I couldn't make sense of it anymore. The whole time while this is happening, my body is still in shock. I didn't know how to react. I can't even remember exactly what was going through my mind. But then suddenly, all the voices stopped at once. At that moment, I started gathering myself together and remember thinking, what the fuck? I also wanted to kick myself for not recording it, just for my own sanity. A few hours go by and I'm still stuck in the same position. You guys, my body was so uncomfortable that I just wanted to move my leg or something, but was still too scared to do that. Right when I'm about to build courage to do it, the voices start up again, with the same build-up from one voice to two voices at the same time, and so on. There's one thing you don't seem to understand. I also was able to catch another thing it said, and it was, in this life and the next. I wish I was able to hear more, but it was so hard to understand with so many voices at once. This time I wasn't going to mess up. I made sure to record it. Very slowly, I moved my fingers to the closest app I could record on, and it was Snapchat. So I started recording a video, and once it played back, I'd be able to hear if the voices were actually there, or if I was going crazy. Now once the video finishes recording, I forgot it automatically plays back, which is fine because I have my headphones in. Except I forgot to plug my headphones in, because I never ended up watching a movie, and now this video plays out loud. My heart stopped, because whatever is in the corner of my living room now knows I just recorded it. The moment it played back, I quickly plugged the headphones in, and all the voices stopped at once. All I could think in my head was, they know, they know, they know. But at least I still have a recording and can now confirm that I am not crazy. But I think that just made it worse because now I know that something really is there. Now another hour goes by and I'm mortified. By the way, I still want to move my leg. It's been hours at this point, and it's gotten very hot under the blankets. Remember, it's the middle of summer and I'm sweating, but I'll be damned if I pop my head out from under the blankets because I don't want to see what's out there. Things start getting calm again, and I'm going to watch something funny to just make it through to the morning. But before I find anything, all the voices start up again, and instead of building up, they all go at once and they're yelling right next to my ear. Something was on the other side of the blankets, right next to my ear. This is my first post, so I'm sorry if it's a little choppy. So, about 2 years ago, my little cousin, let's call her Jaden, was 4 years old, and her family moved into a new house and started to renovate it. Everything was fine for a while, until one day, Jaden, out of nowhere, started telling her mom how she could see 2 kids in her room. If that's not creepy enough, the kids had no face. I guess it either looked smeared or just blank, and they had no arms. My aunt was creeped out, but she kind of brushed it off and thought maybe just an imagination. My cousin started bringing them up more and more, telling more details about them. One's a boy and the other is a girl. They told her that they wanted her to play with them. Jaden said they were nice to her, but then they started to scare her. I would have been scared from the beginning, but okay. She would wake up in the middle of the night screaming because she was so frightened by them. My aunt didn't know what to do. My cousin would be playing, and when my aunt asked what she's doing, she would say, playing with the kids. I guess they were only mean sometimes. It gets a little more creepy. So, besides there being 2 faceless and armless kids in her room, there was also an old man with a cowboy hat and cowboy boots, as she explained him. This man was a mean man, and Jaden was very scared of him. She said the 2 little kids were also scared of him. The thing is, the man was only allowed on the porch. He wasn't allowed to come inside since he was so mean. So as long as my cousin was inside, she felt okay. One night, the family was eating dinner, and they started to hear footsteps outside on the porch. The door is right beside the table, and my uncle went to see if someone was out there. He came back and said he didn't see anything. Jaden, with a straight face, was just like, "It's the mean man. He's standing at the door watching us, Dad." Of course, my aunt and uncle were freaked out, like, what the fuck just happened? Then she said, "It's okay, he can't come inside." That was a span of about 6 months. A few months later, they moved, and Jaden never talked about the kids or the old man ever again. I'm not even sure she remembers it, but I don't want to ask. I'm pretty sure it was very scary for her at such a young age. My aunt did some research about the house and saw an old man who wore cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. He used to live there and died on the property. She couldn't find out about the kids, though. So I live in Wyoming, Michigan, about a walking distance away from the Resurrection Cemetery. If you look it up on Google Maps, you will see it has a tree line surrounding it. The tree line closest to the woods is where I've seen it almost all times. I have multiple stories, but I'll try to share only the most haunting ones. The first encounter I had was with my sister. She was going to take a walk through the cemetery. It was late at night, and I had the gut instinct to go with her, so I did. We decided to play Pokemon Go because, why not? I didn't like the forested area around it, especially this big pine tree visible via a maintenance path that led to a crematorium. I was scared out of my mind, but we went towards the crematorium anyway to get a Pokestop and a Jigglypuff. We had to go so close that we were on the maintenance path, but the nicer cobblestone half. It was when I looked to my right that I first saw it, hunched over. It looked like a normal human being, but more terrifying. It appeared to have seen me too because it stood up. I could tell it was tall. I'd estimate about 7 feet in height. I told my sister to run, and we ran home where I proceeded to pray in my room for a while. My mom had a sighting as well. She had mentioned seeing something gray hunched in the top of the pine tree I mentioned earlier, watching us. When she looked back, it was gone. Safe to say, we went home early that day. I consider myself slightly psychic, and when I close my eyes, sometime around the time that she saw it, I saw 2 gaping holes staring back at me. My mom described the creature, and I recognized it as something I'd drawn a few weeks before. I burned this image, but have since redrawn it. My most recent sighting, and the one that kept me from going back to the cemetery, happened in broad daylight with a friend. I'll keep his name hidden for privacy, but we decided to go to said cemetery after class. College program, but for high school freshmen. We wandered around the cemetery for hours until my arm started hurting and I decided we should go home for a snack. As we walked, my anxiety heightened. I told him about the crawler, but I suspected we wouldn't have to worry as it was daytime. As we were walking along the sidewalk, about to reach the tree line, I saw a dead squirrel or dog arm in the middle of the sidewalk. I looked up and I saw the crawler run straight into the tree line. It was gray and ran on all fours rather than on two legs. I told my friend to run, and he did. We both ran until we reached the intersection. Please offer me your advice in the comments.